Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the show. My name is Jonathan Beauregard, and this is Indestructible Souls, the podcast for mental wellness for African American men and boys. It's been a lot happening. Things are busy. The practice is growing. So, by all means, please check us out at BeauregardTherapy.com. You could check us out on the website. I am the owner and proprietor of Beauregard Family Therapy. The practice is growing as we speak. And so please check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and then you can also check out this podcast on Spotify podcasters. You could check this podcast out on Facebook and YouTube. Please go to YouTube, subscribe, and go check out some of the older content. And please support the movement. Please support the podcast. So, once again, my name is Jonathan Beauregard, and this is the podcast Indestructible Souls. So, today, for this podcast, I kind of wanted to get back to talking about the experiences a lot of us face. And when I say a lot of us, as you know, the show is for black men and boys, but this is something that pertains to all of us. But before I get started, I'm gonna go ahead and light up. Oh, let me back up just a little bit. Is I am recording from Blue Cigar Lounge in San Bernardino. So please check out the podcast lounge. Please check out the cigar lounge. And so here's what I want to talk about today is a lot of us, if not all of us, there comes a space in time where we feel like, or we may feel like we lose ourselves. And whether it's because of our families, our experiences, the relationships we find ourselves in, a lot of times what tends to happen is at some point we lose what I call our authentic selves. And how does that happen? What does that mean, authentic self? Well, all of us at some point develop our personality. We have our likes and dislikes. We have the things that we do that makes us us. We have the way we see the world, what we believe, what we don't believe. And eventually, we develop a personality. We develop likes, dislikes. We develop who we are at the core of ourselves, what we believe, but more importantly, what is our operating system, right? So what I call as our operating system is our core values that ultimately makes us who we are. Here's what happens. From a very early age, childhood, we begin to relate to our friends. We begin to relate to our families. We start developing relationships. We have siblings. We have cousins. We have school. And we begin to interact with all of these different groups of people. And we begin to learn how to survive in all of these different corners and all of these different boxes. But what happens is at some point, because we have to learn how to navigate our world, there comes a place in time where we feel like we lost ourselves. We lost what we call our authentic selves. So if I was going to give this particular show a topic, it would be never lose who you are authentically. And I'm gonna add another one in there: church, religion. A lot of times, because of our families, our friends, our relationships, and our experiences, like I said before, we have to learn how to navigate our world. And some people call it code switch, some people call it survival, right? You're not the same person who you are at work. You're not the same person who you are at home. When you're around your friends, you're a little bit different. As a therapist, there's always a space and time where somebody comes to therapy and they're like, I'm struggling because I no longer know who I am. I no longer know what I like. I no longer like the person that I see in the mirror. I no longer like the person who I become. Here's the biggest one. I continue to operate, or continue to perform and do the things that other people want me to do. I pay more attention to other people's feelings and emotions and desires, and I start to neglect my own. So that process causes us to begin to lose our authentic selves. And then we look up at some point and have no idea who we are as an individual. Here's why I added in the church. For those of us who were raised in the church, were we able to always be our authentic selves, not just in the church, but even at home? Because if a lot of times, if we were truly our authentic selves, we will be chastised within the church. Frankly, that's why I think so many people struggle with the church until they're able to evolve and grow spiritually. Then that who we are at our core and who we are authentically automatically becomes contrary to what the church wants us to be. So when we look at little kids, right? I remember as a little kid, children start to get reputations. I remember my reputation as a little kid was that Johnny had a temper. Johnny's always fighting. Johnny's going to go to jail. He's going to get in trouble. He's going to fight somebody. He's going to do something to somebody at some point that's going to land him in a lot of trouble. So over time, whether it's at school, whether it's in the neighborhood, whatever it may be, what happens is we begin to live up to other people's perception of us. We see it all the time with cats in the neighborhood. The thing is, when we walk outside our door, particularly as black men, there's an image and a persona that's expected of us. Sometimes from our friends, our families, our communities. And if we operate outside of that, then here comes the ridicule, the rejection, oh, you're tripping, or whatever it may be. So a lot of times, we as black men begin to operate in a box that's acceptable to the masses. But imagine we could truly, authentically be who we want to be. We could truly, authentically explore the things we want to explore. We don't have to live up to the persona of what blackness is, what toughness is, what society says black men should be. Imagine that we could all truly, authentically perform, act, behave, think, believe what's true to us at our core. Here's what happens. We know ourselves better than anybody else knows. The problem is, do we have the courage to do the things that are contrary to other people's perceptions, other people's desires, in order for us to operate authentically? So, here's what happens when we lose ourselves in terms of how we think, how we feel, and we are simply performing based off of other people's desires and perceptions. A lot of people are walking around with a smile on their face, miserable on the inside. And what I mean by miserable, I mean depressed, anxious, whatever it may be, all to gain acceptance. Some people go so far as to losing themselves, if you will, that they develop codependency. Now they need other people. We need other people to understand what we think or how we feel about ourselves, what we should do. And in fact, we use other people, or someone who's codependent use other people just to feel accepted, just to feel value, just to feel a part of. So for us as men, I think oftentimes we have to operate in a box to make other people feel comfortable. Can you imagine a husband, a father, a friend? Could you imagine if we all operated within our own authentic selves, what that would look like? Will we follow the masses? Will we all try to be, athletes or go at the same thing? It's interesting because what we see is, I believe some people don't know if they're cool or don't know if they're acceptable until they see something come out on TV or social media, they mimic it, and then next thing you know, everybody thinks you're cool because you're doing what everybody else does. You have just now become a sheep. What's cool? What's popular? It's funny how from California to New York, for the most part, we have the same slang, the same fashion trends, the same things trend, popularity, because we're all looking for something outside of ourselves to tell us who we are or who we should be. So when we forget to operate within our own authentic selves, and I want to explain what that really looks like. Operating within your own authenticity, because that's a lonely place. It takes courage, it takes tenacity, but I also believe that people who are authentic to themselves gain the respect of others. It's a lonely road. You're not going to have a million friends. You're not going to have a bunch of followers, because when we truly live who we authentically are meant to be, when we stand on our purpose, we stand on our beliefs, we understand our feelings, whether they're popular or not, we form our own opinions, we only do the things that work for us or for those we love. And what I mean by that is we're not going to allow ourselves or our loved ones to engage in anything toxic or destructive, and we have an understanding of what truly makes us happy. I'm not going to do something for acceptance, although I know it doesn't make me happy. Living your truth, living authentically. You don't care what other people think, and other people's opinions have little value to you. Imagine that. Imagine if we dealt with people on a regular basis that others' opinion of them absolutely didn't matter. How happy would we be? Some of us, when we talk about other people's opinions, some of us build our lives and structure our lives based off of the belief of how we believe other people are going to think about us, what's going to be their opinion. Think about that. The way I wear my hair, the clothes I wear, the shoes I wear, the places I go, how I talk, how I walk, how I look is all based off of the potential of other people's opinions. Imagine truly operating where you could care less about other people's opinions. Through our experiences, through our relationships, both family relationships, friendships, working, career, those things, experiences begin to happen. We begin to learn how to navigate our jungle. The next thing you know, at the end of that road, we look up and we don't know who we are anymore. As a therapist, I can't tell you how many people come to therapy because they've lost a sense of self. Everything's about the kids, everything's about the spouse, everything's about the employer, everything's about the church, everything is about things outside of them. So what happens is, how can I be happy when I'm not happy with self? My belief is you cannot obtain true happiness if anything outside of you is required to obtain that happiness. You have to be happy with self. Oftentimes, people underestimate the strain men are under, but particularly black men are under, because sometimes we're damned if we do, we damned if we don't. If we perform or placate to the social construct of black men, in some arenas we're safe. If we go against the grain, then we're rejected. But it's interesting. So for myself, just to give you an example, I've said it before on the show about where I'm from, some of the things that I've done. Where from the west side of San Bernardino, now I was never no real street dude, but I'm definitely from the neighborhood. I've definitely done my share of stupid shit. However, my hometown is still my hometown. I still feel like in my heart, I still hold a special place for the neighborhood and the cats in it. But the reality is I don't fit there no more. It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's just what it is. I don't fit there anymore. So therefore, sure, I still have homies. I still have people that I care about. I still have people that when I see them in the streets, it's, hey, what's up? Whatever it may be. But I can't be that no more. Now, on the flip side of it, even as a licensed professional, even as a licensed therapist, because of my skin and because of certain things, I still don't fit in certain arenas. It's just facts. So, and I'll speak for myself. When I talk about happiness and being authentic, anybody who's known me for any period of time know you're always going to get me. I am the way I am. My personality is my personality. I don't care how you feel about it. I am who I am. Good, bad, or indifferent. You're always going to get me. I don't care what setting I'm in. You're going to get who I authentically am. Now, to my point, where do I fit? Sure, I fit in my family. My friends who are my friends, sure, I fit in with my friends. But here's the thing that people don't realize, because I never really talk about it. The struggle that it was going from where I come from and that transformation to where I'm at today. So it's one thing to say, okay, yeah, sure, I went and got college degrees. But at the same time, where do I fit? At the same time, who do I relate to? It's funny because as different, particularly black men come to therapy, I could see the different experiences. And I could see where people with certain experiences, even though we're both black, it's interesting how the cat who's still close to the street see me, not realizing I'm from the street. But the cat that's still close to the street see me as a square, as a bookworm, as somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about, lame, if you will. And it's like, in my mind, I still have an affection for the neighborhood, but there's cats like that who look at me and say, you don't fit. And then there's other arenas that I go into, I still don't fit. Here's why this is important. My sanity, my comfort about who I am allows me to always operate authentically for my happiness. Imagine if I'm trying to navigate these different circles based off of other people's opinions, how would I look? Who would I be? I'm the type of person that I could sit in silence for days. I could spend time with myself for days and be happy. Because my cues about myself, my social cues about myself, my validity about myself doesn't come from others. It comes from me, my own personal goals, my own personal ambitions, and my efforts towards those things. I don't need anyone else to tell me where I falter. I don't need anyone else to tell me where I excel. Sure, it's nice to hear. However, because I live truly authentically, I don't have to lie to myself. I don't have to send myself false truths. I don't have to rely on false securities to feel good about myself. So when we talk about living authentically, that means standing in the mirror, taking the good, the bad, your faults, your assets, your likes, your dislikes, your desires, your wishes, embracing them, accepting them, and living from a place that from within and allowing others to embrace it. And anybody that don't embrace it doesn't belong in your circle. So let me give you this before I get up out of here. It wasn't always this way. Coming out of high school, I was an athlete, which came with its own persona. Throughout college, that was shattered, even though I played college football. That persona was shattered. Within my first year of college, I got a child on the way. So now here comes fatherhood. Somewhere too far, not too far after college, here comes a family and marriage, another child and eventually marriage. Here comes career. And here comes all of these transitions. Who am I? How do I navigate this if I don't know who I am because who I thought I was shattered? Who I thought I was going to be, that became a dream deferred. Which way do I go? Who am I? What about these insecurities? What about these shortcomings? What about the anger, the depression? What about the failures? What about the mistakes? Made some big mistakes. So here's the journey. So this is what I'm gonna call it, the journey. So imagine you wake up at some point in life, whether it's your 20s, 30s, or 40s, you wake up and you realize, wow, I've been going for this many years and I wake up lost. How did I get here? Where did I make the wrong turn? Where are the people that's supposed to be a part of me that's supposed to help me? How did I get here? You wake up one day and you lost and you don't know who you are. One of the toughest questions I ask in therapy is, who are you? So now we got to take a journey backwards and forward at the same time. Imagine that. We got to take a journey backwards and forward at the same time. And this journey is to help us rediscover who we are, but also to discover who we are. Because we lost something along the way, but as we move forward, we hope to gain something. So here's how this journey starts. We have to sit down and pay attention and really be honest with ourselves. Be honest and really examine our true nature. What do I mean by the true nature? Being honest with ourselves and say, would I be here? Would I have woke up one day lost had I not experienced everything that I experienced? Would I have ended up here had I not encountered the people that I encountered? If I started this road alone, where would I end up? Where would my nature, my God-given nature, where would that have taken me? If my mom told me to go right, even though I wanted to go left, where would that have taken me? So I have to pay attention to my true nature. So after I rediscover that says I'm going to strip away everything that society has told me and has lied to me about, I only have myself to rely on. But then now I have to take a step back or take a look back. On this journey, where did I feel the happiest? As a child, as a teenager, what were the moments? Who were the people? What were the experiences that made me feel the happiest? Too often, we sacrifice happiness to gain approval of other people. So as I take a look back and we have what we call these reference points of life, what truly made me the happiest? Can you tap into that? Now, after I rediscover or recall what made me the happiest, I have to make a commitment to myself. Here's how the journey works. Along the way, you're going to have to make plenty commitments. You have to make a commitment to being authentic. You have to make a commitment to happiness. You have to make a commitment to being joyful. And you have to make a commitment to do what's innately pure to yourself. You have to make a commitment to only operate in what's authentic. Here's what's next on the journey. So we discovered our true nature. We made a commitment or we reflected on our happiness. We made a commitment to true authenticity. Here's a big one on this journey. Now we got to make a commitment or make a decision to release all false narratives of ourselves. We have to make a commitment to release things that no longer work for us. People, places, things, ideas. If they no longer serve you and they provide a false sense of self, they provide a false sense of security, we have to let it go. If it's just something that pacifies you, like a relationship, we got to let it go. We have to make a commitment or a decision to release anything that feels false. Then we have to let places go. We have to let people go. We have to let things go. I had a conversation the other day with someone, and ultimately where we got with the conversation is I come from this neighborhood, I come from all these traumas, and I still have these family members and friends and whatnot. And here I am on this big old house on the hill. I have all of these accomplishments. And even though I have all these accomplishments and I've had to let some friends go, how do I really enjoy my accomplishments, but I'm lonely? I've lost friends, I've lost family members. And as he was telling me the story, what I explained to him is that happiness is a lonely road. Because oftentimes we're going to have to release and let go of people, places, and things that may or may not serve us, but also that creates a false sense of happiness. And everybody doesn't get to go on the journey with you. Everybody doesn't get, as we embark on this journey, guess what? Not only do you have to leave people behind, some people are going to stay behind, and some people are going to try to impede your progress on this journey. Now that we've knocked people off, we've gotten rid of certain things, we don't go certain places anymore, the next thing we have to do is understand it's going to get uncomfortable. It's not going to feel good. It's going to be lonely. But the only way through this is through it. You can't sidestep it. So you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. You have to be willing to let things and people go. You're going to have to be willing to spend time with self. If you're alone in a room and you're not the best company you ever had, then you're probably not happy with self. And as you begin to walk through this, understand childhood issues are going to come up. Old resentments are going to come up. Remember, the only way through is through. Pent up frustrations are going to come up because now that you have clarity, childhood trauma is going to come up. But understand that it's okay that these experiences and these feelings, feeling uncomfortable, it's part of the journey. Reliving childhood trauma, recalling old resentments. It's interesting how when people go on these journeys and they're like, yo, I got worse when I came to therapy. Well, you poked the bear. So you have to understand that it's okay. It's a part of the journey. Here's what's going to get you through. Now that it's uncomfortable, you let people go. Here comes all these old resentments and pent up frustration and pent up childhood trauma, childhood feelings. What's going to get you through is paying attention to your dreams. Some of us has lost the ability to dream. We talk about dream deferred. Some of our dreams are deferred and buried. You have to not only learn how to dream again, but pay attention to your dreams. Play out your dreams. Talk about your dreams. But I tell you this, only talk about your dreams to yourself, between you and God. Because remember those people who want to keep you off your journey? They're going to squash your dreams. So you have to pay attention to your dreams. No matter how grandiose they are, no matter how outrageous they may be, no matter how far out they may seem, pay attention to your dreams. I dream a lot. Even though I've achieved the level of success, I'm always dreaming about what's next. I'm going to be a dreamer, a planner, an achiever till the day I die. The moment I stop dreaming, the moment it's time to go. So as we begin to dream, remember, everybody doesn't share your dream, nor do they care about your dreams. And in fact, some of your dreams might even be offensive. I said earlier, don't even share your dreams with people. But what you have to release is the limiting views of others related to your dreams. Have you ever shared a dream or an idea with somebody, and the first thing they tell you is why that can't work, or why it's going to be hard, and then they try to give you a path of least resistance? Those people don't believe in you, let alone believe in themselves. Here's what I tell my clients very often: whether it's your parent, whether it's a friend, whoever it may be, they cannot give you advice or believe or dream beyond their own limitations. I often ask, so you went and got advice from this person, what's the greatest thing they achieved? If they haven't achieved anything, why are you sharing your dreams with them? They have limitations. Don't base your dreams off the limitations of others. Here's the last thing on this journey. You're not obligated to play by anybody's rules. You're only obligated to follow your rules. You're only obligated to walk your path. Remember, the road to success and the road to finding yourself is a lonely road. Because when we talk about authenticity, we can't be authentic when we're living based off of other people's perception of us, other people's beliefs of us, and other people's desires. So as you take this journey of regaining an authentic sense of self and rediscovering who you are, understand that you're the only one that matters on this journey. This is the way I look at it. If I am the best person that I can be, and I am the happiest but my happiness comes from within, then those around me and those who I love become the beneficiary of it. They're not the cause of it. They can't steal it. They can't order it. They can't dictate it. But just like a good insurance policy, they get to be the beneficiary of it. So understand this. We have to operate authentically. We have to stay true to ourselves. We have to follow our dreams. We have to walk this journey of happiness by ourselves. It's a lonely journey, but it's a worthwhile journey. Before I let you go, my name is Jonathan Beauregard. This has been Indestructible Souls. Please check us out on YouTube. Please go to the channel, subscribe, check out the old content, subscribe, like, push the notification button. Make sure that you get all new episodes. You can follow us on YouTube, Twitter, what's the other one? Facebook. And you can also check us out at BeauregardTherapy.com. And this has been Indestructible Souls. Once again, thank you, and we're out.
Yeah.